Nationwide is so much more than a great insurance company. They're one of America's largest financial services companies. Like how I'm more than just Peyton Manning. I'm also motivating Manning. When I say insurance, you say financial services. Insurance. Financial services. Insurance. Financial services. Now when I say Nationwide, you say is both. Nationwide. Is both. Nationwide. Is both. For your insurance and financial needs, Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Investment Services Corporation, member FINRA, Columbus, Ohio.
Hi, it's Colin Coward from the Colin Coward Podcast. Do you know the symptoms of moderate to severe obstructive sleep apnea, or OSA, in adults with obesity? They may be happening to you without your knowing. If anyone's ever said you snore loudly, or if you spend your days fighting off excessive tiredness, irritability, concentration issues, it may be due to OSA. OSA is a serious condition where your airway partially or completely collapses during sleep, which may cause breathing interruptions and oxygen deprivation. Learn more at don'tsleeponosa.com. This information provided by Lilly, a medicine company.
Military life isn't predictable, but earning your master's degree can be. With American Military University's 40-plus flexible online master's programs, you can stay mission-ready while you get market-ready. Learn anywhere, anytime with an education built to keep pace, steady, reliable, and always accessible. Plus, military service members, veterans, and their families can save up to 45% on master's tuition with AMU's special rates and grants. Learn more at amu.apus.edu. AMU, steady through every mission.
The following is an exclusive presentation of the Carolina Panthers and the National Football League.
Yeah! Touchdown! Touchdown!
Panther Talk. Panther Talk. Panther Talk.
This is Panther Talk on the Carolina Panthers Radio Network.
Bryce off play action. Has time in the pocket. Throws downfield for McMillan. Makes the catch at the 20. He's got the 10. The 5. Touchdown T-Mac. Touchdown Carolina. And the Panthers take the lead with 6:34 to go.
I saw our guys respond to the challenge, respond to a short week, be really focused on a modified week where we weren't able to get out there and really practice until Friday with any speed, and the guys were focused and locked in on the plan, and it took all that communication to get it done.
And now, along with Jim Szoke and Eugene Robinson, here's Anish Shroff with Panther Talk, live from the Panthers broadcast facility at Bank of America Stadium.
Week 13 officially in the books. The Panthers get their well-deserved and long-awaited bye week. Welcome to Panther Talk. Anish Shroff, Jim Szoke, Eugene Robinson, the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. Joining us, as always, Dave Canales. I know you guys are excited about the bye week, but what a way to go into the bye week. Short week, LA Rams. You've had almost 24 hours to digest kind of what took place, shorthanded on defense. When you kind of look back, what did Sunday reveal about this team?
Unbelievable team win, determination, overcoming adversity, and then opportunistic, coming up with some huge plays on defense, taking points off the board with the early interception, that Derek Brown batted up to Nick Scott there, and then Mike Jack just pattern recognition and making sure he comes up with the catch and scampering down the sideline for that one, and then, of course, finishing the game on that last sack fumble by Derek Brown, and DJ Wanham picks it up, and we were all pretty excited. I might have had contact with the official on that one, and I apologize.
So that was you? Watch out.
I was one of the I was one of the people that was standing in the white, really excited about the play, and felt horrible about it, because the official went down, and so I was able to go up to him afterwards, and that could have impacted the game, and we have to make sure that we're smarter in that spot, and I got to make sure I get out of the guy's way, because what if it turned into a touchdown, or what if it's brought them back to a point where they could get the ball back and get into a field goal situation and send it to overtime? So, but anyway, it was just an amazing finish by the group, and just a really tough physical football game, just like we like it.
You're the head coach. Does that cost you in kangaroo court, or do you make the rules?
I don't know. I don't make those rules, so we'll see.
Well, Coach, when you were in the locker room, you said that you guys have not played your best football yet. Yep. There's more to come.
I truly believe it, and that's always got to be the pursuit, is to find our best, the constant weekly growth that we're looking for. And I'm talking about assignment football. I'm talking about guys being where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be there in all phases, and to play that kind of clean football that's out there for us. That's our goal, and that's our mission, is to continue to improve fundamentally. It is the teams that improve on the most basic level at this point of the year are the ones who play their best football in December.
Coach, I want to go to this deep over by McMillan when he went across the field. Did he make any adjustments on that? Because as he went across on that deep over, he looked like he angled up towards like deeper down the field as opposed to making the deep over became more like, I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, he was adjusting to the throw, and he basically just had two guys crossing on the play action pass, and Xavier was going over to the left. The post safety chose him, so all of a sudden there was no help deep, and the corner was kind of in the low hip on T-Mac. So Bryce saw that, layered the ball a little deeper. So T-Mac was really just adjusting to the pass because Bryce was trying to throw him open to space for the touchdown, and it worked out great.
Just to follow up on that, the 2 4th and shorts that are long touchdowns, you would think by just the nature of it, those are lower percentage plays throwing deep. How much confidence you must have had to dial those up and trust the guys to come through with those plays? Yeah,
we liked the matchup. Brad Idzik and I and Mike Bercovici were kind of the third down cadre that gets together and tries to find our different matchups. And we liked the fact that those corners are really talented corners, but they're smaller than our guys. Our guys are huge, and we decided to put Jalen Coker one-on-one on that side, and we got the look that we wanted. They were in a man-to-man look, and Bryce just delivered the ball perfectly so he could run it in and really cashed in on some of those opportunities.
When you look back at the third quarter in particular, it seemed like that kind of set the tone for the entire second half. They had the ball for, 3 plays? How much of that was intentional, the way you guys used that 13 personnel and tried to wear out that front for L.A.?
Yeah, just riding the momentum of what was happening up front. We were getting good movement, and our backs were running hard. And I felt like this is the type of moment that we could take advantage of. Let's keep the Rams offense on the sideline, but also let's lean into what's working for us here. On top of it, did start raining pretty good in that time, so I had to be really selective with the passes that we had. But thanks to Goody and the run pod putting together a great plan, we had some variety in our different personnels and different looks, and the big boys up front executed, and we were able to stay out there for a while.
Coach, I was talking to Jordan Gross, and we were talking about the offensive line and how the offensive line needs to be in step with the quarterback on his drops. And so can you go over what that looks like for the offensive line? Do they get back deeper? Do they set short? What does that look like when the quarterback's going through a 3, 5, 7-step drop?
Yeah, it's all tied into whether we're throwing it quickly. How long is this pass coming out? So they're actually, people may not know, but our offensive linemen are listening for the pass concepts. They don't need to know exactly what the pattern looks like. They just know in this series, we got to make sure, hey, this is a 7-step drop. I have chip help. I don't. So they have to be tied into some of those things. And, if it's coming out really quickly, they can jump set a guy, keep him at the line of scrimmage. And so that all is tied in with Bryce's drops.
The running game, obviously a huge commitment with the 2 running backs getting to 35 carries and typical fickleness. You hear Chuba being chanted in the crowd where Rico was the star before. This was an even split in this game. Was that kind of the mindset you had going into that might be an even split as far as the 2 backs and their work?
Yeah, just trying to make sure that they both have an opportunity to impact the game in a positive way. And, the way that we were, trying to continue to do it is Chuba's been our primary third down back now for a couple weeks. He's excellent in protection. And then we do run the ball when it's third and whatever. It could be third and long on a draw play. It could be third and medium or short, trying to give him pass looks and then hand the ball off. So he gives us that great opportunity to be balanced and have variety in there. And then, of course, just making sure that they're fresh, making sure that they're going out there and they don't have to think about saving anything in the tank. Just cut it all loose every single play. We'll roll you guys out there in and out. It takes being efficient on 3rd and 4th down to get more opportunities to run the ball. You see the contrast of the Niners game, 1 for 7 on 3rd down. Then you go back to this week and we were 56% or something like that between 3rd and 4th down. More opportunities to run the ball, get into your play actions, and open up the playbook.
As you move into the month of December, more cold weather football, even here in Charlotte, having Chuba back to being Chuba, how big is that for your run game?
It's huge. It's huge, and this is exactly the vision. This is what we need, and to be able to play this time of year, and just speaking historically, not just necessarily for us, but speaking historically, it's why the commitment to the run game early in the season it all pays dividends because the guys have a rhythm about what you're doing. They understand how we're attacking things. The receivers are a part of this. And it's the teams in December with weather in different ways. You give yourself a chance to continue to be successful and be balanced because of the commitment to the run game.
Coach, Derek Brown made his presence known all day long yesterday. When you look at Derek Brown, who does he remind you of? I mean, I got some names that come to mind. Cortez Kennedy I played with, and Warren Sapp. Who does he remind you of?
I've had a chance to coach a bunch of good defensive linemen. I really just can't compare anybody to Derek Brown. He's one of a kind. He is big and powerful, and it's the motor. That's the part that really impresses me with him is for such a big man, he chases screens down. He comes out the stack and he'll show up on a pass concept, after the rush, and really just that kind of character and leadership that he shows for us is something that just has been really unique and really special for me to watch.
Obviously, credit to the players, but to talk about your defensive coaching staff and special teams for that matter, with all the moving parts in a short week with different guys moving with the injuries and so forth there, what a credit to have such sound schemes that we could see defensively, everything covered up down the field, and special teams really not missing much of a beat except that one kick return. Yeah,
an excellent job of pressing into the game plan. It was not perfect. We let some stuff out there, and, we missed some matches. On the back half a couple of times, between the linebackers and the DBs. But in general, guys were where they were supposed to be. And coming off of that short week, not being able to really get into our running and practicing until Friday, because of the quick turnaround. But the guys were really intent on being focused on the game plan, and then came out there with a couple of new guys helping us out on special teams as well.
Mm-hmm. Coach, did the short week help? I mean, my contention is that when it's a short week, man, you have to focus and get in. And you got to really focus. So did that help at all?
I don't know if it helped. I know that the guys met the challenge and were up for it. And you're right. In those moments, you have to just say, okay, what do I have to do today? And make sure that you're all in on what's happening today. Win the day. Have a 1-0 mentality every single day.
Coach Lathan Ransom got his first career start when you watched the film. What was your assessment of his play?
Physical, very aggressive. Throwing his body around just like we love. He plays the game right. He's got some stuff he'd be up here telling you that he would like to correct, and those things are being talked about and adjusted. But I just love the style of play. It just continues to show up. He had some amazing hits in the game on Kyron Williams and the backs, and they had some great runs too. It was a cool battle to watch and to see Lathan out there playing at the safety spot and showing up and helping his team.
And then what did Richardson give to you also?
Just versatility, and he's really in tune with what we're doing, a guy that communicates really well in the back half, and he did a good job on the opportunities that he got.
Last thing, just the atmosphere of that game, making Bank of America a tough place for opponents to come in. I felt like the rain was almost energizing. The crowd was into it. We're talking about the chanting and so forth. The players responded to it as well. But as a coach and just looking out at that, what did it feel like to just make this a tough environment for an opposing team to come into?
It was wonderful, and it definitely was something that you could feel the delay of game at the end. They were so loud, and even just in the third quarter on, there were third and fourth down rush opportunities where they had to go silent, and they were having to communicate quickly. They were up against the clock. That's an advantage for our rush group. That's an advantage for our linebackers and safeties as they're trying to disguise different things. The longer we can get them into account, we can hold things and try to mask what we're doing a little bit more. But I could feel it. It was amazing when the run game got going. The crowd was behind it, and we could feel that energy and play off of that momentum. And so it was a major impact.
As you get ready for the bye and you kind of get ready for the last 4 games with everything in front of you, you've checked off a lot of boxes in terms of progress and improvement this season with this team. What's the next rung on the ladder for the Carolina Panthers?
Yeah, how long can we maintain that championship mentality, 1-0 mentality? And every game is so important. We're going to come off the bye week and play the Saints, who played us great the first time. And they had a great game plan. They executed well that day. So we just have to be focused on the Saints when we get back and take advantage of this bye week, make sure we put something back into the tank, and show up with that intentionality to be right back to our focus, getting right back to really good football.
Get some rest, and hopefully the guys can heal up a little bit. Panthers head coach Dave Canales, you've been listening to Panther Talk here on the Carolina Panthers Radio Network.
This is Panther Talk, brought to you by Bank of America. What would you like the power to do?
I know you're someone who tells the truth, and I'm going to ask you a question. how hurt were both of your calves? And don't lie to me.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't want to disclose everything.
All right.
But, I had kind of not just my calf, but my whole left leg, some stuff going on there. And obviously I wanted to come back. I wanted to help the team win. I played through stuff throughout my career, so I just told myself, look, no matter if you're 30%, 20%, whatever it is, go out and play. And I felt that, I could do that. Obviously, I wasn't up to par. I wasn't doing what I need to do. It took me a long time to get back healthy. Pretty much last week was the first time I kind of felt back to myself a little bit. And this week, obviously, a little more. So it's been some ups and downs for sure.
That was after the game on Sunday. Jake Delhomme asking Chuba Hubbard about his calf, his leg injury, and a very honest answer from Chuba. And, it's easy when you're on the outside looking in to say, well, Rico Dowdle's the guy and feed Rico, and what's wrong with Chuba, and trade Chuba. Chuba's not the guy. Like, Chuba was hurt. And you kind of got an honest response. And now he's been a tough cookie since he's been here. We saw it as a rookie in 2021. He played through some pain. Chuba is back to being Chuba. And we started to see signs of that in the Atlanta game. Saw some more signs of that against San Francisco. And then yesterday it was pretty much a timeshare. He had the 35-yard touchdown catch, 17 carries, season high, 83 yards. When we had Dave Canales on, he talked about the value of two productive running backs this time of the year when you're going to lean on your ground game more. And boy, are the Panthers equipped to do that. You have Rico Dowdle, who's on pace for 1,000 yards. He's, 70 yards away from 1,000. And now you've got Chuba back to being Chuba. I think what we saw on Sunday in terms of the way they split the carries, the way they rotated in, that looks to be the cocktail for this running game.
No doubt about that. And I would just say this, this is the reason why you want your team to be healthy as you go into bye weeks or get healthy from a bye week as you move into November, December. Because the healthy teams in November, December, those teams typically win games. And the fact that Chuba's back to his full strength, you can tell. You can tell the way he ran the ball that you can tell, that's more Chuba-like, all right? And I like the honesty, but every football player knows this. If you're hurt, that is a major disadvantage to you, and you got to get healthy. You have to, because sometimes coaches don't have the time to go ahead and wait for you to get healthy. That's why when Rico Dowdle was showing out, they don't have the time to wait for you to go ahead because they got a business to run. They got games to win. And so that standpoint, we all know that. So I'm glad that Chuba's back. I'm glad that he's healthy, and I'm glad that he was honest about it because that's a lot of vulnerability to say that, hey, man, I was jacked up, dude, and and it didn't look good for me. That's underneath. It didn't look good for me, but now I'm back. I'm glad he's back.
I want to just add on to some of the things you said. In today's NFL, with 17 regular season games and the long playoffs, the best teams are often, as you said, the ones that are fortunate with injuries. It's because a lot of teams have good teams and good players, but they don't make it to be that team. But they might look great through October, but then the attrition hits. You've got to have the ability to take care of your team's health. And they've done it, and we'll see get out of the bye week. I never would have thought a bye week in early December would have been optimal. It seems to be hitting at exactly where you need, especially to get all these defensive guys back. J.C. Horn should be ready to roll for the next game. Obviously, get Merrick back from the suspension, but some other guys, maybe Claude Sherrillis and some others in there. So that's all important. And don't forget, too, in that, and again, nobody asked him, so Rico Dowdle has been battling a quad over the past month, and he's probably not 100%. The bye week for him, these two backs coming back out of the bye week with some extended time to hit those last 4 regular season games literally running, that's going to be powerful.
We said this on the show when Rico was in the midst of that great stretch with Miami and Dallas and Green Bay. We said, don't forget about Chuba. You're going to need Chuba at some point in the season, and we needed him on Sunday. They don't win that game against the Rams without Chuba Hubbard. The other piece for the run game, which it's not definite, but there's hope, Robert Hunt has a chance to come back at some point. It's not definite. You hope he can, but there's a chance that you get Robert Hunt back. We're talking, Jim, about now getting your best offensive lineman back. Makes your passing game better, makes your run game better, makes your offense better.
Pro Bowl guard, leader on that line, brings energy and juice on top of that. And even if he comes in a rotational role, if he can come back and do that, that would add so much for a team that's been so banged up on the offensive line, because obviously that's a plug and play wherever he comes in at certain times where you can spot him in. We were talking with Jordan Gross in the postgame. It used to be back in the days of IR. You went on IR, your season was over.
Done.
And now you have the ability with today's medicine and with today's rules to be able to come back within the season. You forget Robert Hunt. He can come back and play. The season is so dang long. If you get injured early, you got a chance to come back. So, again, as Nish said, don't know for sure, but just having that possibility is enticing. And if you make the playoffs, maybe he's a playoff guy. But just whatever the case is, if you get him out there and it's safe to put him out there without adding to his previous injury with the biceps, and that'd be great.
The other thing you think about, I think Bryce has found some comfort behind this offensive line. The way he threw the ball, the pockets, the throwing lanes, and how he stepped up and moved in the pocket. Sometimes he's out of the pocket. I'm like, man, okay, Bryce, this is what you are comfortable with this line, and they are comfortable with you. And then you add another person like Hunt back to the mix, dude, I think his comfort level only increases. And so now I'm expecting that ball to be distributed because McMillan only got one catch. I mean, I thought he would get the ball like 10 times.
It's a big catch.
A big catch. But the way I look at what's going on with Bryce, I think you're going to see distribution, an equal distribution across the field. You're going to see Coker. You're going to see Leggett. You're going to see McMillan. You're going to see everybody getting touches off that based on the comfort he has seeing in that pocket because of the offensive line and what they're giving him.
Yeah, and I think Dave Canales deserves a lot of credit because he took a lot of heat last week, nationally, locally, and when you do this long enough, I'm always loath to question play calling because there's so much that goes into it that is unseen and it's unsaid. And it's easy to say, well, they only ran it to the running backs 9 times. And Dave Canales admitted, yeah, we probably could have run it more, but you were coming off a game in which Bryce Young also threw for 448 yards. You were playing a defense that was thin, that was beat up, that had not shown the ability to rush the passer or come up with takeaways. The 49ers had, 2 or 3 interceptions all season going into that Monday night game. So you decide to throw it, and sometimes it's one of those situations where you have a 3rd and 12 and you call a draw play, and if you pick up 13, it's a genius play call. And if you pick up 4, the crowd boos.
Yeah.
Right? Or if it's 3rd and 8 from the plus 45 and you run for 4 yards and the crowd boos, you're running because now it's 4th and 4, 4th and 3, and guess what? You can run, you can pass, you can play action, and you have the whole playbook open, and you're setting it up for 4 down. So there's a lot that goes into play calling. But I just thought the way Dave Canales managed the game, especially the third quarter, long drives, staying on the field, keeping Matthew Stafford on the sideline. It's funny because rainy weather, the Rams were able to run the ball. Nobody today is talking about, why didn't Sean McVay run the ball more?
Nope.
You could have easily made that case.
No, their yards per carry were excellent in the game yesterday. In fact, they were 7.2 yards per carry, as Blake Corum was 11.5 yards per carry in that game. I also like the way that coach coached during the week because there was talk about after the game, of course, he only ran the running backs 9 times the week before. And he not only owned up to that, he went and met with Rico Dowdle, talked to him to the point where Rico was asked about it in the locker room last week, and Rico said, "We're good." He goes, he came to me, he talked to me, and I want the ball, and he knows I want it. So they had, all on the same page. He goes, there's a great player-coach relationship when you can have that because it's easy when things are going well and you win the game and whatever, but you lose and you had a guy that's a star player that didn't have as big of an opportunity, and you guys talk it through together, and then you come out and you run the ball with the running backs 35 times. In the win yesterday, it doesn't always work out. To Anisha's point, you could plan 35 runs; they could go for 35 yards. But when it works and you come out of something that was a negative, make a positive out of it.
One thing that me and Anisha we were talking about, and I think we talked about this off air and whatnot. We talked about the secret to winning the game against the Rams is control the clock by your offense, stay on the field, and keep that offense off the field. And I thought the third quarter.
Give us some credit. We did talk about that on the air. Yeah, that was on the record.
Yeah. So I thought that was one of the secret sauces because I said, look, you can't let this offense on the field. They got too many weapons. They got a quarterback who's a beast, who's got 30 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions, they can score points. They got 2 elite receivers. You got to watch out. So the best way is you got to keep your defense off the field and keep your offense on the field, and they got to eat up the clock and then convert that to a score. Whether that's 3 points or 7 points, you got to convert.
Yeah, and in the third quarter, they did that. The Panthers had a long touchdown drive to begin the third quarter. The defense forced the Rams into a 3-and-out. The next time the Rams touched the ball was a couple of minutes into the fourth quarter. They had the ball for 3 plays the entire third quarter. The Panthers were able to lean on that offensive line, change the complexion of the game. You get into the fourth quarter, and that's where the Panthers have been great. They've actually been a really good second-half defense. We'll talk more about that later in the show. We also have Jim's chat with Kurt Coleman. All that's ahead here on the Carolina Panthers Radio Network.
This is Panther Talk, brought to you by Atrium Health. At Atrium Health, we do more to keep you moving, achieving, striving at every age and stage, so you can live fully.
Former Panthers safety Kurt Coleman spent 3 seasons with Carolina, the first of which was part of that outstanding Super Bowl 50 team. Proud product of Ohio State University. He works at Charlotte Latin High School these days, in addition to the work you hear him do with us on the Carolina Panthers Radio Network broadcasting games. Looking forward to a great conversation with Kurt Coleman.
30 seasons of Panther football, a celebration of the players, coaches, and other key figures who've contributed to the organizational success.
Kurt Coleman, I love him not just because he's an Ohio State guy, but one of our favorite Panthers of all times. And anytime he's on a broadcast with us, it makes it a better experience as well. You enter the NFL as a 7th-round pick of the Philadelphia Eagles, where you would play your first 4 years. This is where you strike up that relationship and friendship with Sean McDermott, right? Your defensive backs coach. Mm-hmm. He becomes your defensive coordinator a few years later in Carolina. You end your career in Buffalo with him as a head coach. How much did Sean McDermott mean to your pro career?
I think it was incredible. Again, you feel like there are, for me, I'm a man of faith, and there are people that God puts it all around you. Whether you recognize them or not, that's up to you. But when I first got to Philadelphia, I remember Sean, and I remember this vividly. Like he was very hard on rookies. The older guys he would kind of let go, and you gotta, and I had to understand that he was taking over a position that from Jim Johnson, who was, in my opinion, one of the Hall of Fame defensive coordinators in the NFL. So he was taking on a role of he was trying to live up to the Jim Johnson name, and he had his own spin and flavor on things, but it was this very complicated defense, and he was hard on us. And I remember one day he goes, "Just so you know, I can go back there and play the game of football." And I laughed at him. I was like, there's no way you could do what we do. Well, I'm very naive at this time in my life. So, when you look at Sean's pedigree, being a national wrestler, going to William & Mary and being a great safety there, and unfortunately he never got the opportunity to play in the NFL. But his point of saying that was, if you're smart enough, if you prepare enough, and if you understand the game, you put yourself in positions. Now, it's whether or not you have the ability to make the play or not, but you can always stay one step ahead if you prepare well enough. And that's the lesson that he gave me, was you can stay around this game for a long time. You just better be able to work and do all the little things that it's going to take to stay in this game. And sure enough, I was fortunate enough to have a year underneath him at Philadelphia, and then when it was my opportunity to hit free agency in 2015, it made sense to only come to Carolina and play underneath him again, because I knew within that defense I could be successful. And then obviously, just to finish off my career up in Buffalo, it was a great year, and it was some things that hopefully I was able to leave those guys around me. I went up there this past summer when we had a chance to call their game, and it was just great to be around that coaching staff and around Sean again.
Yeah, great to see Sean and Brandon Bean and that group all doing well, the former Panther connections there. And you mentioned signing as a free agent. You had a year in Kansas City in between Philadelphia and Carolina. You played 3 years with the Panthers, but that first year was the year, Super Bowl 50 year. team goes 17-1 heading into that Super Bowl. And people need to remember, I mean, what a key figure you were on the field with that, too. 7 interceptions and a touchdown that year. And you had 21 picks in your career, but 7, a third of them, come in that magical year. So not only a great defense, Kurt, but just talk about your role in that and just what an amazing run that you guys had that year.
It was an incredibly special year. And I remember back in preseason, we're down in Wofford in Spartanburg, and it was after a long hot practice, and whoever's been down to Spartanburg, there's something about that air where it just never moves and the heat just sits on you.
Yeah.
But I was doing an interview, and after I got done, I had called my dad, and we were just talking about how camp had gone or was going. And for me, I wasn't dubbed or penciled in as a starter. I think by all terms, I was going to be a really solid backup, and obviously can go in and sparingly. And I remember telling my dad, I said, "There's something special about this team," and he was like, "Well, what do you mean?" I'm not sure, and you just couldn't put your finger on it. But whether it was the great mix of young with the veterans, and you had your classical Cam, but then you had the TD Cam. Like, if anyone was around practices, TD and Cam went at it every single day, and it was a competition between offense and defense. But then you would have Luke, who was like, he was quiet as far as verbal, but then he was so intense when it came to actual playing. And then you had the Jano, who was getting ready to have his come out party of I am Batman arriving on scene. So it was just so many mixes of personalities. It was such a great place. You wish you could capsize that moment in time. And, to go through that season, I knew this defense was going to be something special. So that year was special, but for me, it was my time to shine, but all I had to do was my job. And that was what was so special, because you had great guys in front of you. I just had to just do my job, and when the ball came my way, you just make the play.
Subscribe to 30 seasons of Panther football on the iHeartRadio app, Panthers.com and Team App, Apple Podcast, or Spotify. This is Panther Talk, brought to you by Coke. Game day deserves the great taste of Coca-Cola, because fan work is thirsty work.
Anish, Jim, Eugene, back with you here on the Carolina Panthers Radio Network. It's Panther Talk. It is the start of the bye week, a well-deserved bye week. It's coming late in the season. The Panthers bye week coming in week 14. 13 weeks in the books, and the Panthers finally get this reprieve. They need it. Few things that have stood out this season, and we talked a lot about the offense, and but the defense. And Eugene, one of the things that we've kind of noticed here is how Ejiro Evero has deployed pressure and has made the halftime adjustment in some of these games. The Panthers on the season are giving up, in the neighborhood of 7-8 points per game in the second half. It's one of the best marks in the NFL. They've been a really good second half defense. And what we have noticed is in the first half, a lot of times it's a lot of dropping coverage, not a lot of pressure. The second half, they seem to get more aggressive on defense. And I know they've had the turnovers the last few games in the first half, but the aggression on defense we've seen in a lot of games. Okay, second half, let's turn up the heat a little bit.
And we saw that too, because against the Rams in that first half, I was sitting there going like, you need to blitz more. You need to get after this guy a little bit more, because you can't let Stafford sit back there. He's going to kill you in zone. He's able to find that receiver and and throw him open or not throw him open. He's going to find his guys. And so I was calling for, man, you got to get more pressure on him. And in the second half, we saw that. We saw more pressure on the quarterback. But I think you're absolutely right. That's been the theme throughout this season. First half, not as much pressure. Second half, you're just getting tons of pressure. I think with the skill level that we have up front and in the secondary, I think you send in your backers and you mug up in the A gaps and you get after people, because you have a secondary that can hold up, and you got guys who are putting pressure on the quarterback. And so Coach Gerald going forward, I'm like, hey, get after these cats, man. I think that's one of the recipes that is a key to our success, is when you get after people.
I think, too, when you get in the next game, Trayvon Merrick and J.C. Horn looks like he'll be back for that as well. You can be a little bit more of a risk taker because that back end of the defense is more solid. But to your point, sometimes you can help them out by getting pressure there because now Stafford doesn't have the time to look downfield or let that play develop. So it's kind of like pick your poison a little bit, but as long as you succeed in doing it, you have to mix it up. You can't just do the same thing for 4 quarters.
And I would say this, that interception by Jack against Nakua in that game from inside technique, and he takes it to the house, quarterback's going to be thinking twice about saying, oh, we can go ahead and go on Jack's side and not go to J.C. Horn's side. They're going to be thinking twice about that because that was a beautiful interception. Even the pass that Nakua caught towards the end zone, I said, that was great coverage. He actually Jack got his hand in there. That was just a great play by a great receiver. And I'm sitting there going like this, Jack, you are establishing yourself as one of these great corners in the league because you're doing stuff against one of the best receivers in the league.
He's the perfect guy to have opposite JC because teams are not going to throw to JC Horn a whole lot. He's got 5 picks, entered last week, tied for first in the NFL, and you took the words out of my mouth. I'm watching the replay again because that highlight's been all over, the one-handed catch where Nakua and Jack are essentially lockstep down the sideline, and Nakua turns his hand in the opposite direction and kind of reverse palms it in. Mike Jack had his hand there.
Exactly.
He was, this close. Mike Jack was this close from coming up with a one-handed interception or bringing that in or having a PBU. Almost had 2. Mike Jack's got 3 picks this year. I mean, he's had a chance to have about 5 or 6 this year.
Yeah, and what it does is when you see those 2 plays and when the coaches isolate those plays and when they go against him, they're going like this, hey, man, this guy is not a slouch, man. This guy is opposite J.C. Horn, but don't sleep on his skills. This guy right here can go ahead and hurt you. And so I like what I saw. Even in that defeated play, I said that was a great defensive try to stop. That's just an outstanding play by a great receiver.
What are gloves made out of these days?
I have no idea, dude.
Because they have to be so tacky. I'm not taking anything away from Nakua, but that is not human.
That's not natural for you to go ahead and, well, Chris Carter could do that with them big old dang hands of his, but that's really not natural. I'm like this, how did he catch that ball right there? It's like he backhanded the ball. It's like doing something with a tennis racket that you're not supposed to do with a tennis racket. I'm like, wow, it was outstanding, but you can lose sight of it because you would think that, man, Jack got just beat for a big play. No, he didn't.
Great play, great player.
Great player. That was some good work.
Speaking of great play, Jim, Bryce Young, 2 of the last 3 games now, I think we're starting to see what we've kind of wanted to see all along. And sometimes the numbers get skewed because even when his numbers weren't popping off the page, the Panthers were winning a lot of those games because the recipe was run the football and they were playing the run really well in some of those games. But I think over these next 4 games, if Bryce can build on the sample size that we saw against Atlanta, that we saw this Sunday against L.A., we're going to need that down the stretch against Tampa, against Seattle, certainly against New Orleans, who seems to have Bryce's number.
Yeah, and I think, he's doing some of the more difficult things, which are game-winning drives and 4th down conversions and things like that. I mean, those were great throws that he made that were both touchdowns and were clutch because they're 4th down. There's no 5th down. So, I mean, the fact that he has that moxie to be able to, it's a different position. Like, you have to be a leader, you've got to be a player, but you also have to have a mentality. So there are different things that go into being a quarterback than any other position out there. He's a smart kid, obviously. So you're seeing a lot of it, and like we've always said, it's just a matter of that consistency from week to week as far as what his role goes in. And that's what he only needs to be, Eugene, is like that part of his role in the offense. He doesn't have to go out there and be Patrick Mahomes. He can be the distributor, and when he does that, that's when the team does its best.
All right, we will look ahead to the bye week and look ahead to the end game. Yes, 4 games left in the season and everything, including the postseason, in front of the Carolina Panthers. You're listening to the Carolina Panthers Radio Network.
Panther Talk continues on the Carolina Panthers Radio Network.
It is the holiday season, and visions of the postseason dance in the heads of Carolina Panther fans. It's all there. You're a half game out of the division lead, chasing Tampa. 2 games remain against the Bucs. You still have Seattle, so you've got to go through Baker and Sam. But before all that, you have a bye week. But coming out of the bye, I think this is the biggest game because it's the next game. That's the old coaching cliche. But that's the one game on the schedule that remains where you look and say, you absolutely cannot lose. You got to go beat the Saints. What happened at Bank of America Stadium when the two teams met earlier in November, debacle. That was a game where the Panthers played their worst game. Still could have won that game.
Yes.
You got to go to New Orleans. That team's out of the playoff hunt. They're 2-10. They are angling for a high draft pick. Eugene, that's a take care of business. Go win that game by 2 touchdowns.
This is, I mean, if there's any incentive at all, coming off this past win against the Rams, you have all the incentive you need because you know you just beat a quality opponent, one of the best opponents in the league, bar none. Bar none. And now when you look at the Saints and look at the margin in which you lost and you could have won that game, you have to be telling yourself collectively as a group, we're going to go down there and stuff a mud hole in these cats. We're going to go down here and beat them like they stole money. You have to be saying that. Now, you ain't going to say that to everybody else, but you're going to say that among the boys. Dude, we let these cats come up against us. We got to go down there and take care of business. And that's what's going to be the theme. Go take care of business because that team, I don't believe, is on your level at all.
We've been talking about the highs and lows. I think it's yet reason number 99 while the bye week comes at the right time because it's been up, down, up, bye week. Now you got 2 weeks to focus on the next one.
That's what I'm talking about.
Get out of that pattern and win a lot more than you're losing over these next 4 games coming up here. So it does give you a chance to heal up. Also gives you a chance to really refocus on getting ready for a big road game coming up and hopefully a win down there.
I think that's also the next step, handling success, right? You beat Green Bay, then you lost to New Orleans. You had the great win against Atlanta. You lost to San Francisco. There have been these ups and downs, like you said. Can you now handle success? Because if this is going to manifest, if a playoff reality is to happen, you're going to have to string together some victories at the end of the season.
Yeah, and I think this team is well aware of it. And I don't think it was you came out flat so much. Sometimes you just block and tackle or whatever. It's not like you weren't into the game. So you also personnel matters. I think at this level too. So having healthy players, I think, is probably going to be the biggest thing of all getting back.
We're healthy and we're getting healthy as we move into December. And when you win in December, you get to punch a ticket to the playoffs.
And we will be rested. Enjoy the bye week. All you out there, get some sleep to sleep.
You know that's right.
Perchance to dream.
PCs powered by Snapdragon X Elite processors are made to go the distance. With blazing fast performance, next-level efficiency, and multi-day battery life, Snapdragon processors are built to tackle it all, from highlight reel editing to intense player research, so you can be at the top of your game wherever the day takes you. Learn more at snapdragon.com/laptops. Snapdragon, the heart of your PC.
Battery life varies significantly based on device settings, usage, and other factors.
Whether you're kicking off a campaign, gearing up for an event, or suiting up your team, 4imprint has the promo products to move your brand down the field. With thousands of customizable options like premium apparel, drinkware, tech totes, and giveaways, it's easy to score fan favorites that deliver impact. You'll get expert support, speedy delivery, and their 360-degree guarantee, so you can be 4imprint certain your order arrives exactly right on time. Explore more at 4imprint.com.
4imprint, for certain. Get almost anything you need delivered with Uber Eats. What do we mean by almost? Well, you can't get a well-groomed lawn delivered, but you can get chicken parmesan delivered. A little escape? No. A delicious bowl of grapes? Yes, that. An afternoon stroll? Sorry, no. A burrito bowl? Happily, yes. A day of sunshine? No. A box of fine wines? Yes. Uber Eats can definitely get you that. Get almost anything delivered with Uber Eats. Order now. Alcohol in select markets. Product availability may vary by region. See app for details.